Habari. Hello, everyone. Again, Minister Uriah Baraka. I just did a class, and my son got my phone, so I couldn't record it. But we started on is women's health this week, and we're going to continue that on um, till, I guess, 4 weeks or so. Um, and we had two sessions where we dealt with uh, the um, health, women's health in relationship to sexuality and relationship, and how today our sexuality is backwards, pretty much perverse, and it contributes to a lot of women issues. As far as I know, when I had the health service, a lot of cases of fibroids, vaginititis, and other yeast infections and infections. Um, and it's because that we have gotten away from the proper cultural way of sexuality. We completely have taken on a caveman type understanding of sexuality, a perverse type of sexuality that is, in many cases, diseasing our women. And if women care, then they would um, look at what I'm about to teach. We had a good time at the class today. The women were very receptive. They were very open to a male teaching these issues. And in many cases, I had stopped doing women health issues because of the real antagonistic attitude that I would confront. But tonight it was really nice, and I really uh, enjoyed it. I mean, I really enjoyed the reception. I enjoyed the attitude of the sisters that was there, white and black, and we had a really good time. So what we first confronted in the first session was that the Western ideal, the stereotypical Western ideal that the male is the physically the sexual aggressor contributes to a pseudo ideal that distorts women's health concepts and relationship. Okay. For those who are of African ancestry, African or African Hebrew ancestry, um, there was a different culture of sexuality. What we have, I call it, based on my studies, and I don't want to be rude, like I told the sisters tonight, because we had Latinos, we had a couple of Indian sisters, and African sisters, and uh, European sisters there. And like I said, it was real nice tonight. And my son took my phone, and I was unable to do a live of the How Live class. But I'm gonna try to correct that. So going back, the Western ideal that the male is physically the sexual aggressor contributes a pseudo ideal that distorts women health concept in relationship. In other words, Western culture principles of sexuality is backwards. I mean, just stones, caveman backwards. And because of the oppression and imprisonment within this culture, we have assimilated into this system. See, I always tell people, hey, when you came 1865, when you came out of chattel slavery, you was on zero. And we have our cultural ways of doing things were distorted, and we've assimilated a lot of the what we call the caveman cultural concepts of sexuality. But the sexuality that we're having is what's making our women sick. Okay. And as I said, when I had the health service before COVID came and shut us down, uh, I was dealing with fibroids and all type of bacterial and germ infections and infection. I'm like, man, what is happening? All right. So I went through a lot of study. I guess it was about a year of study on sexuality. First, I was studying, the foods and what it was doing, but it came down that the foundation of it is improper sexuality, the meaning that we are making love like a bunch of barbarians. Okay. The image of the man as being the sexual aggressor is based on a culture, not upon science, okay? Not upon the anatomy, okay? The male organ anatomically is a female organ because man has male and he has female organs. He has the breakdown organs and then he have the nurturing organs. The nurturing organs, whether on a male or female, is called feminine. Okay. So the male organ anatomically is the female organ or a feminine organ because it is a sponge tissue that is non-aggressive. Even though in our stereotypical thinking, we think that the fibers get hardened, which is blood flow into the sponge, blood flow and oxygen into the sponge that hardens it. Okay, so automatically with our Western thinking, we think, okay, he's supposed to bang it. He's the aggressor in sexual relationship. This is but backwards, okay? Because the feminine organ is the nurturer in the act, okay? Not the aggressor. It is the female sexual organ, the vagina, that is composed of muscle tissue and stimulates the passive tissue, which is the male organ. It is the stimulant. What is causing these infections and diseases within our women. Okay, and I know there are many because I've treated many. Okay. And I was treating more women for these type of things than I was men. And I'm like, what's going on? Especially fibroids. Okay. Oh, it was epidemic. Okay. And so I took the time to study it. And like I said, I don't do too many female classes like I used to do because of the attitude now. Oh, can't no man teach me nothing and all that Western caveman thinking. So the female organ, the vagina, is composed of muscle tissue and stimulate the passive tissue, the male organ. What we got is butt backwards. The woman is acting in the passive while the man is acting in a aggressive. Okay. So he's banging the vagina, which is breaking blood vessels, tearing up carrion tissues, and injuring the vagina, causing infection and contamination. Okay. Whereby you are getting all these infections. Okay. All right. Now, it has something to do with the diet too, but this is the premise that we have caveman sex, and especially for a Hebrew woman. Okay. She has to function in knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. That is natural science and spiritual science. Okay. Because these sexual experiences not only affects us physically, but mentally and spiritually. Okay. Because the conjugal union is a spiritual act. Like I told them in class, I said, instead of drinking wine and smoking dope before you have sex, producing chemical babies, what you need to be doing before you have sex is praying and giving thanks to the Most High and let the Holy Spirit come into that conjugal union to create covenant sex, producing babies that have a healthy spirit, a healthy mind, and healthy body. We're doing it but backwards, and that's why we're producing chemical babies who have the cultural dynamics of a caveman. Okay. It is the muscle action of the vagina that should cause orgasm, not the banging and injuring of the vagina. Okay. The banging and the injuring, you know how we talk. Oh, I'm gonna bang that. We say it. Okay. And we have converted sexuality into this beast-like sexuality into instead of a spiritual union. It's spiritual. Okay. It is a reproductive act by which new life is born, by which new life comes into the world, not something to get your freak on, okay, like you in the caves of Europe, okay. It is the muscle action of the vagina that should cause orgasm and not the banging of the vagina by the penis, which injures the vagina, break blood vessels, cause infections, okay, within the vagina, all right, and causing the uterus to, let's say, age or degenerate, okay, degenerate. That's the best word. So the point is that the penis should be stimulated by the muscle structure of the vagina. Okay. All right. By the muscle structure of the vagina. So vagina action and muscle action should be the aggressive action within that sexual union and not the banging and the injuring of the vagina that leads to the deterioration of the uterus. Okay. And that's why you at these doctors' offices getting antibiotics and all this stuff that don't help. None of that stuff help. It just slows down the progression of the disease. And then when it progressed to that point where they say, hey, ain't nothing else we can do about it, get a hysterectomy. Okay. Let us just cut it all out. And because you have such an admiration because of the inferiority complex, you have such an admiration for this sorcery, you let them do it and lose your sexual womanhood. And proper orgasm stimulates the pineal gland. Understand? The pineal gland, neuromelanin, okay? It stimulates the pineal gland. This is where you get your amino acids from, your tyrosine, your GABA. It stimulates these from the neural, not the melanocytes, which relates to skin coloring or skin protection, okay, from the ultraviolet rays of the sun and the means by which we are able to digest through our skin and produce vitamin B2 and vitamin B3. We're not talking about color. We're talking about neuromelanin. That's a whole different science than melanocytes, which people get mixed up. All right. So when you lose these amino acids, which have a lot to do with our mood, with our neurotransmission, with our fight and flight response from the hypothalamus, okay. And when these are off balance, okay, then you have savage thinking. What in the scriptures, I think it's in Jude, it says that they are like presumptuous, brute beast. Okay, so that's presumption, the thinking of an animal, the thinking of a beast. That's beast thinking. We want to think spiritual. We want, because from that neuromelanin, there are certain amino acids that cause civilized attitude. I was telling them tonight, and they laughed because they were really prime sisters, uh, prime women. Okay. And I was telling them, I said, a lot of times you're walking around with presumption, you're walking around with bad attitude, not because anyone has done anything to you, not because someone has abused you, okay, but because you're not producing and being stimulated, you're not stimulating your pineal gland to release these amino acids that helps neurotransmission, okay, that balances and supports your serotonin effect in the brain, your melatonin effect in the brain, serotonin being a masculine, which is also a inhibitor of neurotransmission, meaning that it inhibits it from going above the scale of health so that you can have mental health, a proper civilized attitude that produces a proper moral basis for your life. So proper orgasm, okay, stimulates the pineal gland and causes mental and spiritual balance. That's how important it is. Okay. The act of intercourse is a renewal of covenant as well as a means of reproducing a new life form. That's high on the list of importance. Okay. But the way we have sex in such a ravaged, perverse way, we pass on through our semen and through this emotional content, we pass on this spirit to our children. And that's why they walking around with their pants down and their butt out. Women talking like sailors now. Every other word is a curse word. That wasn't in my day. I don't relate to it. I don't accept it. Okay? Because I came up under a different foundation of moral discipline. Okay? All right? And that's why we teach, the first thing we teach, before you engage, you should pray together until the presence of the Spirit comes. You should give thanksgiving for one another. Okay? Instead of entering antagonistically or perversely, because the emotional content of that act is passed on to the children. If you're entering into a spiritual union, okay, that spiritual love is passed on to the children. Okay. It brings that woman into a biological, mental, and spiritual balance. That's why you're having a lot of hormonal imbalance. Because you don't understand that this act of intercourse is a highly spiritual thing. Okay. You pass on that antagonism to that woman. That woman passes it on to that child. And the body reacts to it. And next thing you know, you got vaginititis and you got all these ailments in your sexual area, and your uterus is degenerating. Okay. All right. Lady came up, she said, I'm having a problem right down here, Baraka. I said, well, I got to do urinalysis and tests. I'm not one of them guys that say, hey, drink this cup of tea and you're going to be all right. I do a thorough examination, so we'll get on that next week. Okay. All right. And last, the perversity, we want to dissolve division. Proper sexuality dissolves division and harmonize the male and female principle, what we call mayat, balance, what they call in I think China, thel, balance, what we call in Hebrew, zadik, balance. That's what righteousness is. Balance, balance of justice, balance of everything. Righteousness balances physically, spiritually, and mentally. Okay. Cognitive imbalance is due to imbalanced stimuli. Okay. The frontal lobe is a muscle. And the more you read, the more you think, and the more you function in a proper balanced morality, okay, the frontal lobes expand to 34% of the brain. Right now, since junk food and perverse sexuality and all this feminism and chauvinism and antagonism that is producing chemical antagonistic babies, okay, has come in, the frontal lobe has shrunk in the last 20 years, 25 down to 25%, which at which rate is clinical mental illness. I didn't say psychotic mental illness, clinical mental illness. That means you're walking around insane. That's why when people be talking to me, especially if we're at a dinner, I just look at what they're eating. We was dealing with chewing gum and how chewing gum has aluminum in it. Okay. Aluminum causes temporary insanity. Okay. And it halts brain transmission, neurotransmission. It interrupts it. Okay. So you walk out, go and get your car, ain't drunk a drop, ain't smoked no dope. You can't even remember where your car is. Huh? That temporary insanity. You know, the input or the flow of neurotransmission has been disrupted. Why? Because you're chewing that gum. They put it on in lipstick too. They put mercury in lipstick, which also retards brain functioning. Okay. So you're dying to look good. You're dying to look like Queen Elizabeth. All right. Hair dye destroys the not the outer core of the brain, which is 50% protein, 50% protein, and 50% fat. It protects, is a protector. That gray matter that they call the gray matter. 50% protein, 50% fat. It deteriorates that. Okay. HDA, HDT, cancer-causing chemicals. That's in most of these cosmetics, especially skin cream and facial creams. Anything that you put on your body, young ladies, beautiful sisters of Israel, you are eating. If you put something on your skin eats it, assimilates it into the bloodstream. You don't have to put it in your mouth to eat it. You can just put it on your skin. It's going to eat it. The same thing when a man sperms in you. Every emotion, every chemical, every drug, every ounce of alcohol is in that sperm. Okay. And it is a chemical that is poison sperm, and you get poison babies. See, because I call it child abuse. When you know this stuff, that you're putting poisons in your body, and I'll read a few of them off, okay? Because these drugs, alcohol, food, distilled alcohol, wine can be good, beer can be good. Food and cosmetic chemicals imbalance the body, mind, and disconnect the spirit from the mind and body. Okay. I be seeing these pastors, man, they got so much makeup, and I know what's in the stuff. And I'm gonna read some of them off to you. I know what's in this stuff. All right. And that's why they be talking so crazy, and they get to yelling and screaming and or taking concepts, and by the time they get through with them, it's all confused because their spirit, their mind is disconnected from their spirit. That's what these chemicals do. Again, drugs, alcohol, food, and cosmetic chemicals imbalance the body, mind, and disconnect the spirit from the mind and body, which causes the inability to achieve conjugal union. Okay, you want to get these relationships better? All right, get off the alcohol, drugs, food, and cosmetic chemicals out of an imbalanced state, hormonal as well as mental, then you can perceive the solution to any problem in your life. You can see and cause and effect karmic thinking that if I do this, this is going to stimulate that. Now the result is going to be what? Evil. If I do this, this is going to stimulate that, and the cause is going to be righteous. But when your spirit is separated from your mind and you're thinking like a presumptuous beast, you can't figure nothing out. All you know is that you're hurting. Why? Because you're eating foods and putting chemicals in your beautiful feminine bodies, and your acetylcholine is going way up. Your neurotransmissions is going too fast, which is confusion. And the serotonin and the GABA can't control it because they inhibit the neurotransmissions from going that high. And then when you come down, you don't stop here at healthy level. You go all the way down to hypo level and experiencing this depression, self-hate, pain, emotional pain, and anxiety. And you're blaming it on everybody around you. Because that's what that beast does. Oh, it's his fault. It's her fault. It's his fault. It's his fault. It's his fault. Oh, you black men just ain't no good. No, it ain't nobody's fault. It's you. You control. Self-control gives you control over the world, gives you control over your environment, gives you control over your home. Self-control gives you control over your relationship. It's when you out of control, huh? Because you are stimulated by things that Elohim did not create. You are stimulated by chemicals. You are stimulated by distilled alcohol, which was not drank in Asia or Africa. It's just beer and wine. Distilled alcohol is a whole nother animal that they use as a drug against the Native Americans to disempower them. Food and cosmetic chemicals. Let me read some of these cosmetic chemicals to you. All right. Poisons found in skincare products. They say AAH, that's the acronym, alpha hydroxy acid, makes you age faster. Okay. Kill live skin cells, outer and inner. Okay. That's why your skin begins to sag. Okay. And you start getting tired because that neurotransmission, that male neural action is not functioning in a balanced way. Okay, cause keloids, exfoliate the tissues of organs. All that means it is degenerating your organs. That's found in skincare products sold by these people who y'all love so much and protect, okay? Because it appears to be intelligence, but in the scriptures they are called evil inventions. Any invention by man that causes sickness is not of Elohim. Elohim causes health. So if it's causing the opposite of what Elohim desires, Allah or Elohim or Halawa or Netir or Mungu, okay, then it's an evil invention. Albumin, which albumin you'll find in egg whites, but it is a protein that does not digest in the body. It is stored. Okay. One of the reasons for obesity, because we're eating eggs every morning, you know, and we say, well, I get my protein from eggs. You're not getting protein. You're eating protein, but that protein does not assimilate in the body. It's not assimilate to the cell. It is completely a nihilistic food. Okay. Cause skin to suffocate. That means that when you put this stuff on you, okay, it clogs up your pores. Okay. And it retards your glands. Okay. That's why you're not getting all the toxins of the gland, eliminate toxins out of the body, eliminate stores and eliminate toxins out of the body. Next thing you know, you're experiencing autotoxemia. And then don't know how to deal with that. And passing that on to your children. Huh? Okay. Dry skin causes skin to suffocate, hold waste in the skin. And that's why you get all these bumps and infectious, red, especially red bumps and black bumps. Red means an infection. Black bumps means poison. Okay. And you get black around the eyes, that means parasitic infection. Okay. All right. Aluminum. Okay. This is all in these skincare products. Contains, especially though aluminum is especially in antiperspirants. Clogged pores in skin, clogged pores, that means you're not getting oxygen, low oxygen. Okay. Decreases your sexual prowess. Okay. Block blood flow, block your circulation is off. Therefore, oxygen, minerals, and nutrients are not being distributed to the body through the liver. Drains electrical energy from the brain. That means now your neurotransmissions and electrical impulses that create thought, rational thought, morality, and different things, okay? And the fight and flight from the hypothalamus is low, okay? You're not functioning on a healthy mental level. So when this happens, you are clinically insane. That's why I stay by myself a lot. Because when I came into this life, I said, hey, and I start seeing, and, with the background that I have, a lot of people don't listen to me. But I overcame my demons. And that's why I'm cutting people off who keep bringing them up. You keep talking about what I did in my 20s and 30s. I'm 63. Okay. All right. So I don't let that, because that's just the accuser. That is a Satan in your life. Okay. Drains electrical energy from the brain. This is aluminum. Okay. It's in chewing gum. Damages nerves from overheating and can cause, and one of the main causes of Alzheimer's. And then they use the animal fat in the skin cream. Now, what happens to an animal? You let it sit up after it's dead. It rots. It creates bacteria. Okay. All right. So now they got this rotten fat, animal fat in these products. Okay. And it breeds bacteria. Next thing you know, you have vaginal bacterial infection.
Pollution.
Hey, man, you want me to pop you, Joe? All right. And then the facial mask that they put on your face, and you paying $75 because you want to look like somebody in Hollywood or some perverse hip hop singer who is completely moralist. Okay. That animal fat, that bentonite in the facial mask traps waste and carbon monoxide, which is poison. Okay. Stop the skin from getting oxygen. All right. That oxygen is passed on through the hole, so you become oxygen depleted. Oxygen depletion causes deterioration of heart, lung, vagina, uterus, liver, kidney, of every organ. Okay. and cause aging. Okay. People be like, Baraka, you 63? I said, yeah. Man, you function like you was in your early 40s. I said, yeah, because I don't eat those chemicals. I exercise. I pray and meditate from 6 to 8 every morning. Okay. All right. See, the oldest passed away when I used to eat pork chops and chitlins and that slave food. When I got the knowledge, because I was seeking, I had a problem with addiction. Okay. And I didn't want it. I didn't understand addiction. So they send you to all this AA and all that ineffective stuff. You're going to relapse. Okay, because addiction comes from emotional issues, anxiety issues, and when your body becomes dependent on it, and it's hard to get off until you find the right cure. I found it. Why? Because while everybody was criticizing me and looking down on me, I kept on studying. Now I'm free. And I thank Yah. I celebrate it. I don't need nobody to celebrate my freedom with me. I celebrate it. You keep talking about the person called Kevin in the 70s and 80s. I'm talking about the son of Elohim, who by the power and the wisdom and knowledge of Elohim and submission to my elders who taught me this stuff, I was able to gain my freedom. Okay. The fight was hard. And now I go and I share with others of no cost. Okay. Share with others how to experience the freedom from addiction that I have come to experience. All praise be to the Most High. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to stop there, but we have coal tar, peanut butter, which has 259 disease and cancer-causing chemicals, ice cream, which has propylene, paint thinner, and antifreeze in it, dried fruit, sulfur dioxide, which is a synthetic chemical and can cause temporary insanity and or mental trepidation. Okay. So these things, and the one reason why I went on and did this class, because Andre, my Caucasian friend, she's the director there, and she just said, please, man, we good. I said, man, I just don't like the attitude that women have. I'm not going to be arguing with nobody, okay? And if somebody say something disrespectful to me, I'm just walking out. I said, I'll do it, but I'm telling you my rules. I don't argue with people, okay? All right. So what is destroying women's health? The latest data, I think, was about 8 months, maybe 8 months ago when I was studying this. Hey, dude, what I say, go in the room, man. You want me to jack you up? Okay. What is destroying women's health? The highest death rate are among women between 45 and 54. See, this is what's happening now. They're not advertising it. That the most people dying in America between 45 and 54 is women. And the top women that are dying is the Caucasian middle-class women. Causation, poisons, and suicide. Because that's what unbalanced. You go here, and then you go called manic depression. You're manic, then you go into depression. Now this is factual data from independent organizations. I don't do government organization data, okay? Because I know they lie, okay? I know the government is evil. I know that the American government is a criminal institution, so I don't listen to them. Poisons, the ones that I just said, and suicide. Now this is correct data, okay? All right? So keep playing with it. Keep playing this feminist game and all this other foolishness, okay, that we playing, women, and get back to sanity and get off these chemicals. And I guarantee you, your mind is clear where you can see the solution to the problem and begin to implement healing instead of antagonism. Encourage one another while it's today. Okay. So through drugs, alcohol, food, and cosmetic chemicals, that mostly women, see, women are at the highest rate. Why? Because men don't use lipstick. Well, you know, except those. But men don't use lipstick. Okay. Men are not putting mud mask on and all this other skin cream and stuff like that. You know, I mean, we don't use it extensively like women who use it daily. And that's why from the poison from 45 to 54, and it's going to continue on as long as you're putting, when you put this stuff on your body, and when you put that dye in your hair, you're poisoning yourself, and you want somebody to listen to you. Okay. That's poison. Those are chemicals, cancer causing, mental illness, shrinking of the frontal lobe, where your rational, intellectual, moral standards are deduced and defined. Functioning at a 25% mass when it should be 34%. You're mentally ill. I can tell when I'm talking to a righteous woman by looking at her plate, by watching whether or not she is submissive to prayer and humble herself under the mighty hand of Jehovah Elohim Sabaoth, that he might lift her up. There I know there's a whole different attitude. And see, me, I'm the type of person, I'm going to say what I feel and feel what I say. I don't have pretty talk. I want you to live. So I'm not going to come with flattery telling you, well, just think positive. No, eat positive. Okay. Put on your body what Elohim has created and stop putting on your body what these sorcerers has created. Because by sorcery, the satans of this world deceive the world. Why? Because you're mentally constricted. You can't think through a paper bag. Is it your fault? No, it's not your fault. Addiction is nobody's fault. From the time that you were conceived, your mothers, your fathers was drinking, eating chemicals, and they didn't know no better. And you were addicted when you came out. First thing you ask, you don't even cry no more. As soon as you get out the womb, you ask for a Coca-Cola. You know what I mean? Got a Coke? You're addicted, sugar addicted, chemical addicted, and these addictions for some, such as myself, okay, because I had a metabolism syndrome, and I didn't know it until I educated myself, and then was able to place myself scientifically and biologically in a diet that eliminated the appetite, eliminated the addiction. Okay. All right. And that's what I tried to share with others. Okay. Tried to share my experience of addiction. Okay. And then help them to escape it. I have no condemnation because I know it's not their fault no more than it was my fault. Most people escape it, but we got 3 million addicts in this country. How many countries got 3 million addicts? Highest number one. Why? Because you're nothing but consumers. And they put these drugs and chemicals in the food, knowing that they're going to get 1/3 of the population addicted and mentally immobilized. Okay. All right. So when I know that you're drinking distilled alcohol, you're taking drugs and food, you're eating with all these chemicals in it and cosmetic chemicals, and I know that it imbalances the body, mind, and disconnect the spirit from the mind and body. Don't come to me talking about Allah or Yahweh or anyone else. That you need to recover from your addiction. Well, I'm not addicted. Yeah, you addicted. You're either addicted to that sugar, you're addicted to that caffeine, you're addicted to emotional obsessions, you're addicted to imbalance, which imbalance produce jealousy and envy and negating and minimizing. Encouragement ain't even in your mouth. These are the signs of your imbalance. These are the signs of your savagery. These are the signs of your mental illness, whether you drink or not. Okay. You can fool the piper, but you can't fool a man who has sat humbly under his elders, who have studied without ceasing. Why? Because I wanted to win over the demons in my life and the hell with anybody in my life that continues to debase me. Okay? And you have to take that attitude, because some people can only feel good about themselves when they bringing somebody else down. Okay? That's why I stay in prayer, because prayer gives me the power to deal with these mental chemical babies. Chemical babies at 62, chemical babies at 42, chemical babies because they trust in their master so much. Oh, those people. Baby. Those people wouldn't do that. Okay. All right. Still slaves. I want you to be free, sisters. I want you to be free to love. I want you to be free to share. I want you to free to smile. I want you to free to be happy. I want you to be strong so you can overcome any affliction or negation that's against you. That's what I want for my sisters. All right. For the righteous sisters of Israel who keep the commandments of Elohim and the testimony of Yeshua. Man, okay, you knock over my guitar, you're in trouble. You know how I feel about my guitar. All right, don't get beat up on tape. All right. So this is all I'm sharing with you. And we're going to do some more next week, because the sister was saying, well, give us the solutions. I said, well, I can't do it all in one night. So next week, what we're going to be doing is giving programs. I'm going to be teaching programs where people can use these programs, okay, and begin to detox themselves, get the metals like mercury. Mercury is a bioaccumulative substance. Once it gets in them cells, it takes about 2, maybe 5 years to get it out. Okay. Where aluminum, you can get it out faster. Okay. And then when your pineal gland becomes calcified, you can decalcify it. So that's what the kind of stuff that we're going to be doing next week. I'm putting 2 hours of teaching into like a half an hour or 45 minutes. Okay. But hopefully, dude ain't going to take my phone. Still got to get you for that. Take my phone, and I couldn't record it or do it live because it's important to me. Okay. People are important to me. Okay. I need money, but people are important, because I see so much misery, and I went through that misery. And when you experience addiction and the misery of it, how it takes control. I see people be talking about the alcoholics lined up at the liquor store in the morning. I said, well, what about them people in shirt and tie lined up at the coffee shop? They have the same behavior as the alcoholic. You know why? They're addicts. Okay? They're addicts. Okay? So don't condemn the alcoholic, but you're not going to condemn this sugar and caffeine, synthetic caffeine head, who's more out of his mind than the alcoholic. At least the alcoholic could go to sleep. Okay? So you got all these certain type alcoholics, but because, coffee, synthetic caffeine holics and sugarholics, okay, lined up. Man, I used to go to one coffee shop, they'd be lined up around the corner with their little briefcases, just couldn't even function without that drug. But because they got certain ties and make more money, you know what I'm saying? You can point your finger at that poor alcoholic and put him down. You ain't nothing but a hypocrite. The same reaction, the same addiction. An addiction, whether it's alcohol or caffeine. See, the reason why it don't mess them up in appearance is because alcohol metabolizes in the brain, while sugar and fructose and all these sweeteners, and caffeine metabolizes in the liver. And that's how people get drunk, because alcohol metabolizes in the brain. That's the only difference. But a sugar junkie is just as addicted as an alcoholic. A caffeine junkie is just as addicted as a crackhead. Okay. So there's no partiality in addiction. It's just some addictions are socially acceptable. But all of them kills and creates mental, spiritual, and biological imbalance, which imbalance in people is create imbalance within our social environment. And that's why we can't get over racism. That's why we can't get over things, because you're dealing with a nation of addicts whose spirit is disconnected from their mind, whose frontal lobe has shrunk down to 25%. And that's where you get all these goofy social sciences, feminism, chauvinism. Yahweh has only one idea: let the two become one, and that is a science. Okay. That we don't understand because we've been taught by cavemen and barbarians. And we have embraced that caveman culture. Where do you think they got apartment buildings from? Okay, in the Caucasus Mountain, they had all kind of apartment buildings, little caves in the mountain. Okay, that was their culture. I'm not putting it down. I'm saying you're living in caveman culture. That image and that whole design came from caveman culture. Now we live in an apartment buildings. All they are is little caves. You never seen that? And so when we study Caucasus culture, you know, we live in it now. We live in it now. It's just all dressed up now. But we need to go back to righteous culture, Asiatic African culture, okay? All right. Before the invasion and the destruction of these cultures by the system of white supremacy. Okay. Our eating, we got to go back to the way Elohim designed the body. Purging foods in the morning, digestive and assimilative foods, which are vegetables and things, and learning how to have sex. You don't have sex at night. That's when the vitamin level in the semen is this low. It's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. where you have the highest level of healthy sperm. And that's why you're having these weak and effeminate babies, these chemical babies that you've addicted while they were in your womb. Okay, because you think like a savage now, instead of from a scientific, rational, and intelligent point of view that is based on the revelation which Elohim has given us through his word. This is why the Prophet Muhammad in the Quran or the Hadith, he said, eat seven dates a day. It's powerful. It'll keep you alive. Scientifically proven to be exact what he said. But how many Muslims do it? Jehovah said, I will give grass to the cattle and herbs to man for his service. How many of us do it? But we supposed to be Hebrew. We supposed to be Christian. Well, just don't eat no pork, but you eat everything else. You might as well go and eat the pork. Because they synthesize sugar from sugar cane to white sugar by a chemical that is made from pork blood. So every time you eat sugar, you're eating pork blood. Okay. A synthesized pork blood. And that's how they make the sugar and strip the sugar of fiber and its natural color. Okay. Synthesized pork blood. So every time you take a spoon of that sugar, let me see how many of you gonna quit eating pork now. Let me see how many of you gonna say, oh, I ain't eating no more sugar. You're gonna go through drug withdrawals, and you better be ready for it. So get you some stevia and make a transition, and I encourage you to do so, because that's what you're eating. That's why sugar gives you worms. Sugar gives you worms. So I taken 2 tablets of garlic. Garlic is anti-parasitic, and you know what I mean. That's why all them worms and you take off, your vagina smell like it just came out of the pigsty, and it's not your fault. You live in a culture of deception that deceives you by giving you an aesthetic appearance of beauty of something that is poison. Okay. All right. It's not your fault. Don't blame yourself. Stop blaming yourself for being an addict. Stop blaming yourself for being mentally wacky. Stop blaming yourself for having such a low electronical impulse in your brain that it's easy to seduce you through autosuggestive stimuli into believing something that is true is false and something that is false is true. Why? Because they slow down your neurotransmissions or they elevate it to a level that you're walking in confusion. You need balance. All this affects the female, and she is the number one that's dying in this country from 45 to 54 from poisons and suicide. And the cosmetic chemicals is one of the number one things that they are using. It's just like the Joker in that first Batman. He put those chemicals into the cosmetics. And I know you walking around half mental ill. That's why when you start talking crazy, I just say, okay, sister, okay, brother, I'm out of here. Because I've been liberated. And so now my job is to go out and to stimulate others into liberation and not look down on people who are not yet liberated. Encourage one another while it is today. Okay. So I'm going to end it here. I'm sorry I can't do all of it. Hopefully I can record it. I'm not trying to be a celebrity or famous. I'm not into that. My ego ain't into that. Okay. My ego into assimilating the divine quality and character of Yahweh and his power in order to evoke redemption in the world for people that have been abused, lost, and diseased for the last 400 years on the Western continent. So all praise be to Yahweh Elohim, Be Mashiach, Yeshua, Bina Elohim, Melech HaKavod. All praises be to him. Be encouraged. Be encouraged. And I say this to all. Encourage one another while it is today, for we don't have nothing but us. Peace and blessing. Shalom.